started coming up here, you know, you start to learn real quick where you go and where you don't.
Well, where are we going right now?
So we're going to go see Robert McPherson. I call him the blanket vet. He was selling these blankets for this guy, and we hit it off, started talking. I was telling him about MedVets. He told me he smoked, and asked him if he had any, and he showed me what he had, and it was, needless to say, subpar. And so I immediately went into my stash that I personally had, and I donated him some free cannabis, and we struck up a friendship, and I told him that I would keep checking in on him, see how he's doing. We're good?
Good?
Yeah, we're going good. And so he had a stroke since we last talked. Part of his memory is, you know, on the fritz, but outside of that, he immediately started remembering me and then going, okay, cool, you know?
See, I try to stay away from all of it. I mean, I found a place when I was hitchhiking that, because I was a vet, a room for the night. I have so much trouble keeping on one track. I mean, I can be working on something, go get a tool, and next thing I know, I'm working on something over there.
Cool.
I can walk in my room 4 times and forget why I went in there.
But here's what's cool. I have a way that I work with people. And this is something that I'm creating in
I
this.
remembered you from the first time you came there, which, not at sight, which is unusual. Usually I can recognize faces, I can't remember names. That's just, I've always been bad with that.
But when I told you about my organization and what we do.
As soon as you said MedVets, like, you'd said something and you're the vet guy. So it's like I've been trying to get in touch with it. Like I said, my phone ate the number or some shit. You know, the biggest problem I'm very skeptical anymore.
Right.
And it's because literally everything I learned in my life was a con. Everything. Absolutely everything.
I've been sold up a creek.
Nothing was on the up and up. My father raised me.
Fucking Santa Claus is a lie. I started being lied to.
Well, nowadays you can't. Nowadays you can't. You can't do it at all because the kids will go and look it up at 4 years old.
So I started at the end of 2015. I began MedVets. So we had 3 years at this. I had been around cannabis my whole life, but we had 3 years at this as a nonprofit working through and continue to build on this idea that we're going to help the veterans get them access to free medical cannabis that's tested, that's good stuff. So I was on testing before testing was here.
So what did legalization do to what you were planning?
Legalization hurt immensely parts of my plan.
How did they do that though? I mean,
they said that if you wanted to give it away, the farmer had to pay tax on it, the transport had to pay the tax on it, and the retail had to pay the tax on it. So not only did we have all the cost associated with getting cannabis, but they would have to donate it for free and eat the tax to the government for donating and actually be penalized by our government for donating.
So it cost money to give cannabis away?
A lot. They have no idea. No one understands the massive amount of things just in what we're doing here.
So when cannabis was legalized in 2018, what happened to donations from your end?
98% of them dried completely up.
All gone. Wow.
Right, exactly. Well, that's what I try to do, is not set up just one. I talked to King for you in particular as well, so I'm going to call up Blake here right now and I can get it done. So we will 100%. Out in the middle of Alder Point. Well, we're actually technically over in Harris, but you know, it's all this community area that they know it for.
Truck.
Oh.
And it fractured his skull, and it healed really well for a while, and then it caved in one day.
Damn.
And he is just the sweetest dog.
Oh, you think, huh? You think that that's what I came over here for?
Yes.
Was for you to lean on me? So it is smell-o-vision, let us tell you.
The train wreck harvest, or most of it.
Wonderful. You guys got all your little track and trace tags.
Absolutely.
Official like a ref with a whistle.
Yes. We're not going to do wedding cake, ice cream cake, none of that kind of stuff. We're going to grow something that we know benefits us or our friends.
What you donate, and the way we're working with Heroes Harvest, is all going to go through and get jarred, tested, put in, and then we're going to turn around and we're going to push back the information like, check out this train wreck.
Trainwreck does an amazing job of really helping with PTSD, I know.
I agree. Trainwreck is something that, well, the first time I smoked Trainwreck, I realized why they call it Trainwreck. Right, obviously.
But the garden next to it is the one that the cops really did a lot of damage to. It was a really nice farm tech with a cover and some nice water system and a little bit of power going to it and everything. It was getting well set up.
Right.
And they shredded it. Cut lines, left plastic flapping in the wind. It was heartbreaking.
Oh, I bet.
Devastating. And for 3 years
no
I
insurance.
couldn't touch it. Oh no. And everybody here who couldn't wait to help us, couldn't wait to be a part of it, left. Nobody stayed. And so we just left with the family to clean up the mess. And it's taken a long time.
I bet.
So for 3 years I did not grow down there. And this is the first year.
You know what?
And you'll fall onto the road.
I'm really grateful. I can't wait to meet your husband and your whole family.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that too.
Still in love. Bye-bye. I'm at 4. So, should be easy enough.
Where you guys at?
We're just up here. Good Lord, let me see. We're right here where they newly painted "Thank You Firefighters" on these Jersey barriers.
Oh, cool. So do you have my address, or you want me to meet you at the store, or what do you want to do?
You want to meet me in the...
You gotta back up to get out.
I dig it, but I just felt comfortable here.
Yeah, wherever you're comfortable.
What are you up to right now?
So yeah, let me show you what I'm doing. So we pulled all the root balls yesterday, right? And right now it's just kind of undisturbed as it was. We pulled all the irrigation lines out of the patch, and we're gonna cover crop it for the winter time. We're gonna roll it out there. We're gonna use the power harrow, and we're gonna put dirt on top of it so the birds don't eat it off. And then it's gonna come up in this rain. We're getting like 10 days of rain, so it's a perfect time. It's a new moon also.
Dig.
The new moon is the best time to plant seeds.
So how many plants normally grow here?
There's about 200. It depends on what size we're doing and how late we get in. Some years there'll be 50 plants, but there'll be, 2-3 pounders. And this year we got in really late, and so we just doubled them up, and they only got about this big.
One-handed, now you're just showing off.
It's actually, you don't want to like dig it out.
Okay, so here's the throttle.
You gotta hold this down. That's the secret.
John, how long have you been up here?
I've been up here for 30 years. Well, no, I've owned this land for 30 years. I came up about 4 years ahead of that. Came up here when I was about 25. And loved hanging out up here with friends, started working for people. And after about 4 years, I saved up enough money to buy a little piece of land. And that was 1990, I was 27. And really lucky to be here at that time. It was 500 an acre back then. It was super affordable. And yeah, I just moved up here for the lifestyle. Really, the homesteading, piece of it was huge for me. Because cannabis back then was highly illegal, and it wasn't something that anyone did big time. I mean, you did, but those people got busted. So you just grew 20, 30 pounds a year, and that was enough to like help out. I did carpentry, I did other jobs, and everything shifted in the last 10 years or so where cannabis is an industry. Back then, cannabis was like a side project. It was a hobby that you did in your garden. Yeah, you saw the panels up there? Many people for years have been using springs or creek to have a homestead in addition to grow their weed. Well, a bunch of bad apples came in 10 years ago, started damming up rivers, clear-cutting hillsides, pumping the creeks dry, putting rat poison out. I mean, doing stupid ass shit that the government finally had to be like, that's it, no more water. We put in a well up here, which is pretty awesome. And so we just leave the water in the ground until we need it, pump it out the day before, it goes into these tanks. It's all solar, the whole system's solar, and it just drip feeds the, the garden down there. It's not a lot of pressure, but for drip irrigation, it's kind of perfect. Well, there's a big learning curve about curing. A lot of people don't really understand it. In the old days, we were on the run from the helicopters and the cops, so we just dry that stuff with heaters and turbo dry it, down to it's so crisp, and then you'd have to spray it with water to trim it.
Is that why you know Boveda so well? Because of the packaging, I guess.
I just get from them those little things you put in the pounds, keeps them hydrated. It just keeps it, it's like your own little humidor in a bag. It kind of keeps it at a perfect humidity level because, when you're dealing with like 100 pounds and you're trimming it, if it's a cold day, the trimmer's got the heaters cranked up, the bud's drying out on the table, they put it in the bags, it's kind of dry. If it's raining that day and the humidity's high, it goes into the bag kind of wet. This way it equalizes. It all goes right to where I want it. And yeah, it's a pretty cool product. They have very clever. People are learning about air conditioned and humidity controlled drying rooms and doing a slow cure so that it all the stuff stays intact and you don't lose it. Right on. Thank you. That's awesome. Well, that's cool, man. I'll hit this one later when I come back and fetch it over to the other property.
This morning I was on my way up and I was just thinking about everything we had talked about, the rain coming, all that stuff, and looked over at Grim. I'm like, you know what? So I'm gonna get my hands dirty today with this boy. So I'm gonna come meet him. We're gonna meet this family. He sounds like he's busy. We're gonna get our hands dirty because no one shows up for the work. It's like a little red hen. You got a bunch of flour. True. Everybody shows up when you got something to do, right? Except the work, right? So
yeah.
Again, we're lucky right now. We're on the pavement. We just left Harris, and we're heading here on Bell Springs Road. They call this up here Mail Ridge. Is one of the names here, and that's because this is old historic Pony Express route that carried the mail up through here. And these have been fire trails and ways that people have accessed this area for years. This was the route to come through and to get things done. So. nice. The road's in good condition right now.
It's been graded, not too
Yeah, the road's actually in decent condition right now, which is awesome. Oh, heck yes! Yes!
We just bumped into a bake sale. Didn't record them because kids and stuff. But what was the donation?
But somewhere to the tune of like 12 to 15,000 pre-rolls are now gonna come out after turning around and just finding a bake sale on Bell Springs, right? Quite to my surprise. I've been down this road many, many times. And first time I've ran into a bake sale.
So what is SB34? What does it do? What's it about?
SB 34 allows a path logic for us to be able to take cannabis from the field directly to the patient, to the dispensary, and donate it for free to those in need.
Tax-free.
Tax-free.
Okay.
And then SB 34 isn't just in relationship to veterans, it's actually in relationship to anyone in need. If your nonprofit serves people in need, you can give it away to people that aren't veterans if you're able to utilize that the way we have. And the thing is that for us, we're giving this away to those veterans who served us that come back PTSD. They've got no help from the VA. They've got no help from the federal government to help subsidize and give them a different option between an opiate and alcohol. Right now, the only options they have are opiates and alcohol or any other black market subsidiary drug. The cost of cannabis is outrageous. And it's not that it's not appropriate, but it's not viable for the average individual who's on a budget to think medically they could do it. I'm not saying recreationally for your flavors or this. I'm saying but medically.
But what does it do? Was it it removes the taxes?
It removes taxes. All it does is remove taxes, but you have to follow every chain of command.
So you still got
and I still have packaging, licensing, testing, distribution.
So it's not like it's free then?
No.
My problem now is when I left the hospital to come out here and stay, which had to put up with a lot of crap from the family and everything else. But this is my people. I'm not going to lay there. I'd already be dead. But because of the crap I'd be fed. But I came out here. I was going to be about 5 years before I was going to be too sick to do much of anything.
Right.
And if you knew how much worse I was than I was at that blanket lot, it's coming. Not as too far away. You know, a year, 2, if I can push it.
Right.
And then then I'm just going to be too sick to really give a damn about anything. So,
Makes a lot of sense.
I'm not going to wind up laying out in a hospital. I did that enough. Every year, millions of dollars is given to the homeless. By the time it gets to them, it's day-old bread and oatmeal. Seriously, and they get treated so badly going into any of these shelters, and then the cops walk through, then probation walks through, and everything else. Nobody agrees with it. That's why I never go.
Right.
I've always preferred sleeping in the bushes somewhere. I don't care if it's raining, I got a tarp. And it's preferable to me.
Right.
I get left alone, don't have to worry about anything other than the normal bugs. But
I mean, cannabis is not a drug.
Right.
Cannabis is not a drug. It's an herb that's been around for 5,000 years.
We're talking like getting a pound processed a month. So it takes 30 months to process 30 pounds. For one of the places. And then there's this mixed group that's like, cannabis bad. And another group that's like, hey, the only reason we've existed is because of fucking cannabis. Right. This shit's been dead for a minute, son.
Yeah. Sorry, I was like, what is